Astrology in the news. Is there any news going on? I don't know. What's going on? Is stuff going on? Yes, tons of news. Man, after I've been doing my Avengers special, a whole bunch of stuff went and happened. So I picked my three favorites and we're going to go over them today. But of course, we have to go to Yogic Wisdom of the day. The quieter you become, the more you can hear. Got that? Thanks, Yoga. By the way, for anyone who's ever worked in an office with fluorescent lights, it's like kind of being under a very subtle, annoying beehive. And yoga can help you experience that beehive with all awareness of everything around you. Do it, man. All right. So, of course, Trump pulls out of the Iranian deal, which is really not that big of a surprise, seeing what's been going on with Trump. And, of course, he's going to keep all his, he's going to try to keep all his campaign promises. So it's not going to be for lack of trying. And, of course, Iran responds with their national slogan. Let's watch them go here. Oh, they're going from The Guardian. There they go. Death to America. It's like they ran out of flags and they had to run into their like brochure room and grab something with an American flag on it. It's like, quick, print up something on the printer with American flag. It's like they barely can't even get that thing started. Then they're like, oh shit, this is on fire. What are we going to do? Holy shit, quick, stop it out, stop it out. This is our good Iranian parliament floor. Oh man, that's good stuff. So, all right, so this is Hassan Rouhani, and I swear this is him, but it's kind of a little bit hidden by the chart here. But yeah, so Hassan Rouhani is the current leader of Iran, and for taking a look at his chart here, don't have an exact birth time for him, but we can definitely take a look at his moon as his ascendant as an alternative. It's also not too close to the cusp here. It might be, if he was born earlier in the day, it might be in Aquarius here, but anyway, yeah, his moon being in the sign of Pisces here definitely gives him a very, he's a moderate, and I think he's definitely in tune with other people's emotions, or at least the emotions of the people, and he's very good at reading people. I think Pisces are naturally intuitive. Then you also got this trine to Mars and Pluto here. So when you put the moon, Mars, and Pluto all in like this Mars Pluto, this trine right here, this is very powerful. When Mars trines Pluto, it gives the person the ability to manipulate other people for their own benefit. Whether that's good or bad, it's really depends. But now when the conjunction also operates in a somewhat different way, and the square from Mars and Pluto can make somebody kind of a homicidal rage killer. That's a little exaggerated. And in his case, this is actually beneficial for him because the moon is going to be trining both of these positions. Now let's see other stuff. Rahu, right here in Aries, man. This guy has a desire to get it done and get it done quickly. I'm sure behind closed doors, he's a very fiery speaker, speaks with passion, right? That's Rahu in the second house. This is also good for wealth and money. Usually indicates somebody that really likes to go after what they want, but there's a little bit too much Aryan energy when you throw Rahu in there, because Rahu is like, geez, it's people say like Ketu's like Mars, but Rahu kind of acts like Mars in a way where there's a whole lot of like imbibed passion with that. Well, I don't think he really drinks, but maybe smoking opium, I don't know. Anyway, let's see, Saturn here in the sign of Leo. Let's see, this is in the sixth house. This usually gives somebody victory over enemies. It usually helps somebody to not get sick too much. So what happens when Saturn goes into the sixth house? The sixth house is the house of health and illnesses, and so when you put Saturn in there, it tends to make somebody have a stronger immune system. But instead of having like a lot of acute illnesses, they tend to be more I'm trying to think of the word, like they're more drawn out, right? And that's just kind of the nature of Saturn in the sixth house. And it's also not necessarily well placed here on Leo, so this could usually a chronic illness. This could definitely indicate a chronic illness at some point, especially when he's in his Saturn dasha. Now this is really fascinating. Neptune and Venus are almost exactly conjunct. I mean, there are like probably, what is this, like 44 minutes of arc away from each other. So these two are basically operating in the same way. And what this tends to do, especially when Venus is debilitated here in the sign of Virgo, is it makes somebody deceptive in love. It makes it very difficult for them to actually have a love connection because they can be surrounded by a lot of deceptive women. That's usually when Neptune is deception, and when Neptune and Venus comes together, that's one of the indications that you can also put into it. And it can also mean that somebody that hides money. Now, this is in the 7th house, right? So I'm strictly looking at relationships, and makes relationships very difficult to suss out and really have a very good, solid love relationship with somebody, because he probably doesn't trust people because he's probably been messed over by women in the past. Let's see, K2 and Mercury conjunct here, and this is going to be in the 8th house. This can actually, when K2 and Mercury get together, it can indicate a speech impediment, because you have like the primary indicator of speech really conjunct the south node of the moon, and that makes it a difficult placement. And then, of course, the sun here is debilitated in the sign of Libra. Now, what really helps us here is if we take a look at the rulers, actually, Mercury, it looks like Mercury and Venus are changing signs. So what this does is this helps cancel out the debilitation. I'm looking at this, and I'm like, how did this guy become a leader? It's because Venus's ruler is in Mercury's ruler and vice versa. So what that does is it helps it up. And also, too, this Mars in Scorpio, this actually helps this Rahu here because it's in 8th position. So it gives somebody the ability to manipulate even more. So this kind of works out in his favor. So we have somebody that's in politics that's been politically jockeying to get his way to the top. And of course, Jupiter here is well placed in the 10th house from the sign of Sagittarius in the 10th house. This shows somebody that is very pure of conviction. And I think if you have to be an Iranian leader, you're all in for the mullahs. Otherwise, you'll get your head cut off. Get to America. That was so funny, dude. You know, did the Iranian parliament burn down? I don't think it did. I haven't seen anything else. News, but man. All right, Michael Avanetti shows rich Russians hired Cohen. And of course, I have to address this because somebody brought it up a couple days ago. And, you know, the media responds in kind. They're all like, bark, 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 bark. So really, if you're not familiar with the story, some Russian guy put money into Cohen, and like a slush fund for Cohen to buy political influence, which happens all the time in the United States. We're an oligarchy. People buy influence. It's just the way that our system works. Although a lot of people don't like it that way. It's just kind of how we operate. So, anyway, the chance of this being linked to Trump as some sort of Russian collusion is like next to nothing. However, Cohen could be in some trouble. So, looking at Michael Avenatti's chart, so don't have a birth time for him, but I really kind of want to see how this guy operated. So, now here we have, the first thing I noticed is we have a debilitated Saturn. So then what we need to do is we need to look and see where Mars is, because a debilitated Saturn makes somebody very lazy, and makes it very hard to work because they want to get out and do stuff, but the Saturn is always holding them back. And Saturn has a very difficult time expressing its energy in Aries, and this is very close to the actual degree of debilitation too. However, Mars is in Scorpio, so the depositor here of Saturn, and Mars being in Scorpio gives it extra strength. It's also conjunct Jupiter here. So this is really going to undo some of the influence too of Saturn. And also too, the primary thing is take a look at the Navamsa chart. This is why we should check the Navamsa chart. Saturn is exalted here in the Navamsa chart right down here. And once we can get that thing to go away, so watch my superpowers. All right, so if you take a look, Saturn is in the sign of Libra here. I better not get too close to it, otherwise that Google sidebar will pop up again. Saturn's in the sign of Libra, which puts it in the sign of exaltation. So it starts out as a debilitated planet, but over time it becomes exalted, which shows hard work and all that stuff. And this is also too, let's see, about 9 places from the moon here. So, I mean, really, this Saturn ends up being beneficial in his case. Okay, this is somebody who's worked very hard to get where he is. Okay, so next thing. Mercury is well placed here in the sign of Capricorn, makes something very detail oriented, the facts, logic, things like that. Sun, Rahu, oh, by the way, Avanetti was also born on the same day as me, another February 16th. Lady who played Black Widow was born on the same day too, and also too not Mark Ruffalo, he was from Kenosha. Anyway, Kenosha. So anyway, Saturn and Rahu here conjunct. So this usually, I guess, is a lawyer that likes to fight for the people. I know he's handled some class action suits in the state of California. Don't know exactly for what, but this really has helped to kind of elevate him. So, and then Venus is okay placed here in the sign of Sagittarius. Now, he is going through a Saturn transit over Venus. Don't know if he's married, but this is generally rough for relationships, okay? Then his moon is okay placed in, or it's decently placed here in the sign of Libra. So that's really kind of a non-factor for him. So yeah, I thought this was interesting. I mean, Avenatti's got a fascinating chart. This guy really has worked his hardest to get where he is. And then of course, you take a look here at the Dasha. So he's in his Mercury Dasha. Mercury's well placed here in Capricorn. So this generally means success. Doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to succeed in the trial. For that, we need to take a look at the 6th house, and then the moon, so the 6th for the moon is going to be here, and then Jupiter's in the sign of Scorpio. Maybe not. I really can't tell by looking at this chart. So moving on. Hostages return home from North Korea. All right. And of course, Trump greeted them on with McDonald's upon arrival. You know, he was on the tarmac and he's like, "You want some burger?" I can't even do a Donald Trump. Fake news, burgers. I can't even do a Donald Trump impression. That was terrible. I apologize for that. I sincerely do. So anyway, I thought let's take a look at the North Korean birth chart. So this is a technique that you can actually use in Vedic and Western astrology. And really, when trying to predict the future of a country, you either look at the leader or you look at the birth chart of the country. Those are the two ways that I know that have been proven to work fairly well. So North Korea's birth chart. So they was born in 1943 in Pyongyang. Don't know the exact date here. Actually, I don't have it out here, but I did put it in my chart software. Otherwise, how would I get it? So check this out. A debilitated moon in Scorpio conjunct Jupiter. So this is really interesting because it can show underhanded techniques, okay? Let's see. Of course, Rahu here is in Aries. Kind of like Rouhani's, and this is going to be 6 houses from the moon. So this actually can show victory over enemies. So if we're taking a look at the North Korean story in an overall context, they almost got their asses whooped by the Americans when the Americans jumped into the war on behalf of South Korea. It wasn't until the Chinese got into the war that it actually helped them kind of turn the tide, and that's where we got that line of demarcation right now. So North Korea has really been helped by the Chinese and stuff overcome their enemies. So this usually shows somebody that's winning. And also, too, if you take a look, they're in their Rahu Dasha right now. So Rahu being the 6th house in the sign of Aries really shows success for the country in general. So if you take a look at it, I mean, since 2008, that's really when Obama took his presidency, they've been firing off nukes or nuclear weapons programs taken off, and now they're going to use it as a bargaining chip. So one way or another, North Korea is going to come out on not necessarily a winning side, but a side that's going to be beneficial for them. Let's see, Venus here is placed in the sign of Pluto. That's actually kind of difficult for prosperity. Let's see. So one of the things that we do want to take a look at is where Rahu is right now, because they are in the Rahu Dasha. So Rahu is going to be transiting Pluto here, and that can mean a sudden upheaval. So we're going to want to keep a kind of a watch on that. This could be a result of the peace process, though. So what it's going to do is it's really going to flip the psyche of North Korea. Let's see, Saturn and Sun conjunct here in the sign of Leo generally can indicate some repressive tendencies, but you know, it's kind of in a neutral position. Now, Mercury here is exalted. So really, whenever they go through their Mercury Dasha, that's when they're going to experience a lot of expansion, especially to being 11 places from the moon. So, oh, check this out. Neptune and Mercury are also conjunct. So, all right. So how does this work? So when Neptune and Mercury get together, God, these are almost exactly conjunct. Mercury is exalted, and Neptune can kind of cloud things. So what this, I think, would do is I think it makes an over-focus on ideology, and really there's too much structure in North Korea when I look at this. It's really like Virgo and Mercury and Virgo is all about logic, structure, get it done. And when you put Neptune in there, that kind of convolutes things. So it's great intentions, but poor execution. So look at it that way. Ketu and Mars here conjunct here in the 12th house. So this is actually a very fiery combination, and this is going through a Pluto transit. Now, you know, really with Mars and Ketu in the 12th house, it can show a loss, but they're not in the Mars Ketu Dasha cycle. Actually, right now they're specifically in Rahu Mercury. So yeah, this deal, whatever deal they make, I think is going to come out in their favor. One way or another, I think it's going to benefit the people of North Korea. So I'm seeing good things for North Korea on this chart. So I think that peace, you know, this peace process is going to be successful, and I think it's going to help a lot of people in North Korea. And that's a good thing. That's the way we all should want it to end. I mean, there was really no good military option in North Korea. So this is probably the best win case scenario. So bravo for Trump for getting this done. And hopefully it takes hold and they actually hold up to their word, right? All right. So that's all I had for today. Of course, smash the like button. And if you want to book a consultation, consultations are $80 with me for an hour and let's see, $50 for a half hour. And of course, what we do is you get a birth chart, not exactly like this, but we'll go over your chart one-on-one over the phone, and I'll send you a recording. And of course, course, it's your consultation, so you can ask pretty much any question that you want during that hour, and we'll make the best of your time. All right, that's all I had for you today, and hopefully I'll see you tomorrow.